Hello, welcome back. I'm Miniature Mike, and today we're going to continue our series, just taking a look at various characters, character types, and I'm going to do, as you can see, separatist leaders. There aren't too many of them, but it'd be fun to kind of jump into them. Separatists, I do really like that team a lot, and I use a couple of these guys sometimes. A couple I don't even have actually, but they're pretty cool. Some really cool, some not so cool. But let's go take a look. Um, so who do we got first? Okay, so Sand Hill, really awesome, really solid. And as you can see, I've changed a little bit of the way I've done this. A lot of these characters, they're really different from a lot of the other ones. They're not really shooters. They're not combat characters. So I got rid of a lot of to kind of emphasize what they do and their effects. I got rid of some of those things like maximum damage and how well some of their like things work together or whatever. So I just figured it'd make more sense to um, be flexible for a different type of unit altogether. So with Sandhill, 10 cost, 30, 12, 3, and 10. He has melee attack, so he's really doing nothing, when it comes to combat at all. But he has Separatist Reserves 20, which is nice. It's not something you can really rely on. I know there's strategies where you can make that effect happen maybe a little bit more often, and I'm not going to get into those too much, but there are ways, but still, about 5% chance. So it's nice when it happens. It's Separatist characters, so you could do droids, you could do non-droids too, which is cool. But the best thing about him is his commander effect. So you only activate one character each phase. And of course, it includes droid and savage characters. It's so nice. I really like it because it doesn't depend on line of sight. And then aside from that, is you get to go to situations where if you have like a smaller squad, great, you just do one at a time, and you can kind of keep your activations up with what they have. But the cool part is if you have, and from what I understand, if you have a huge army, lots of characters, then you can essentially like get some of the early activations out of the way that are less critical, and the other team is done. And then when they're done, you have all your characters left to activate, and then you can do so much insane stuff. So I've always thought that was really effective, really powerful. So I really like his commander effect. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same one as Admiral Ozil. I really like him too. Very similar characters actually. Yeah, very similar. So overall, I think he's very good. His hit points for a 10 is kind of just whatever, 30. It's kind of what you'd expect. His survivability is terrible, so you need to make note of that. So just keep him far away. Special abilities, I think having Separatist reserves on some of this cheap is pretty nice. His harmony, it's fine. I don't really know what to put. So I just said average because it's not like there's that much to go off of. Versatility is really good. With what you can do when this works. And then when the commander effect, obviously you can do, it can just really help a lot. You can be very versatile with how you're going to manage your activations. And yeah, when it comes to assist leaders, I gave him a 4.5. That's a little bit higher than what, say, Blue Milk gives him when you all like kind of, all average it out. But he's very popular on Blue Milk in the community, very cheap character. I think he's awesome. I tend to run him in almost all of my Separatist squads that I've played around with. I think he's so much fun, so highly recommend. And again, he's super cheap. Pick him up. You won't be sorry. Newt Gunray. So the new thing with Newt Gunray, and it's kind of common consensus. I think most people don't really feel very highly about him, and I would agree. So what we got with him is, so he costs 30. Well, it's really just 10, kind of, but he's 30 hit points, 12, and then he has no combat potential at all. So he both has Separatist reinforcements and Separatist reserves. So in a way, you can say he just costs 10, but you can add him to your squad. You can see what your enemy has, and then maybe you can add some stuff to specifically counter something, which is cool. So it really costs 10, and then he has just like what we just saw, Sandhill. He has the same thing. So if you roll a 1, you get 20 more. So that's kind of cool. You could bring a lot of characters in. His commander effect, though, is funny because I think it's the only commander effect in the entire game. I think that's a direct nerf, and I don't know if there's another one. I can't think of one at least, where all your allies except droids, which is important, they get -2 attack and they become slower. So like, if you're gonna run this guy in a Separatist squad, try to avoid using non-droids. Like, just try to have like totally droids. Like, that's it, because then they're not going to be affected. And if you run them with like, Darth Maul or something, then that's gonna suck. So overall, I think he's poor. Hit points again pretty average because he really costs 10. His survivability sucks, just like the last guy. Special abilities are really nice. Like, I gotta admit, like, he has potential to bring a lot of people in. So I think that's really, like, that goes really, really well for him. But again, it's kind of slow. It's unreliable because it's a 1. His versatility, I don't think it's that versatile because maybe I'm being too harsh on here. It is versatile to be able to choose, your reinforcements. And then if this does work, that's kind of versatile. But I feel like the commander effect kind of can hurt that. Like, depending on what you bring in, it could be a problem. I just don't think he's very good. I'm not a fan of him. His commander effect's horrible, obviously. It should be like a -1 for commander effect. Obviously, the community's not a fan of him. However, like I said, and I've actually had some discourse with one of the people who's been commenting about this, which has a really good point. You can, even if a character's not that good, if they have some potential going for them, you can make them work. Like, for example, if you use New Gunray and like another character as well, like, maybe the Baking Clan tactics broker or something, then you could like kind of plan things out where you're building around droids. You can choose your initiative. You can maybe get one. So if you can find a way to get him in situations where you can manipulate your initiative, you can get a 1 frequently, then yeah, you got actually something awesome on your hands. However, just like in common practice, I don't like a nerf, and I think you just can't bank on rolling a 1 very often, because you might never roll a 1 in a match. You might roll it like 3 times. You never know. And that's not my... If you're going to have this reserves, you got to have something else that's really good, whereas Sandhill has reserves, and then he also has an amazing commander effect. So, not my cup of tea. I'm not a fan of him. I wish they could have designed him a little differently to be less... I don't know. Maybe he's too accurate to the movies. So, anyway. So, Wat Tambor, I have a lot of nostalgia for him. I think he's kind of fun. He's not a great character, but he's okay. He's 30, 15, 6, and 10. He can shoot, technically. He's just droid support. He has reinforcements, so after setup, you can he's like a 15-point piece that has repair 20, and then droid mark's kind of nice. So repair 20 is cool because I think he was like one of the earliest characters to have repair 20 for like maybe a little bit of time, because most characters early on, they were repair 10, industrial repair 10. It took a while before we had, I think the only other better repairman that off the top of my head that has repair 30 would be the I don't remember the name of it. It's the droid that repairs Grievous. He's really, really good. But yeah, I think repair 20 is kind of nice. Again, I don't think it ends up shaking out to be great. Excuse me. But his hit points are fine for someone who's going to end up costing 15. Survivability is a little bit better, but it's still pretty bad, obviously. Special abilities they're fine, they're solid. I like the way they work together, being very droid support. Overall, though, I think he's average. Like, I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's good, like really good. He's fine. But I have a lot of nostalgia for him. Like, it was fun to use him in the early days, being like, hey, this is the guy that can repair 20, that can kind of help out. Whereas you don't really want to use repair 10. So Wat Tambor, he's all right. He definitely gets overshadowed by this Wat Tambor in so many ways. So with this Wat Tambor, this is one of the ones I don't own. I hope to pick him up soon. But just kind of surprised. On Blue Monkey's a 7.6. Am I missing something? Because when I look at him, I think he's incredible, personally, because, like, okay, he has 7, 19, 9, and 20, and twin, and evade, so he has some, like, he's great survivability. Sheesh, like, good survivability. He can kind of, like, fend for himself. So 70, all of this is pretty low for someone who's 43, but, he can survive. He can still repair great. But he has immediate droid reserves 20, which I think is so much better. Like, you go from having a 5% chance to bring reinforcements in, and you quadruple that And in a game like miniatures, where it's random, random activations, maybe you have recon somehow and you want to go again. I think you can leverage this like crazy, because like Kazdan Paratus is pretty awesome, because like every time I use Kazdan Paratus, this works like 4 times a match sometimes. It's crazy. Of course, they're still chancy, but I think it's so good. So it's like, oh, he costs 43, but like at the end of the day, you're probably gonna. I would be shocked if you don't get like 40 points of droids within the game. And it's droids, so it's like any faction droids. You can bring in interesting droids from other factions if it makes sense. Like, hey, you get Dark Troopers. I don't know. So I think he's so cool. I really, really like him a lot. His hit points are bad for 43. His survivability, though, and special abilities, and the way they harmonize together to support droids, he's so good, like, at all of those things. I think he's amazing. I didn't give him the top score for Separatists, because he's still pretty expensive, and if you're unlucky, then maybe you don't get as many droids, but, like, man, I don't know why it's a 7.67. I might be missing something, but, like, for someone who likes Separatists, I think this guy is so cool, and there's a lot of potential. Like, yeah, I really, really like that he has this power, because it's so strong. So, yeah, you have to let me know why he's rated so low, but I think he's pretty awesome. So I give him a 4.1, a grade. So Captain Martuk, interesting character. So he's kind of similar in some ways to Sandhill. He's cheap. You really kind of revolve everything around the commander effect. So this one is okay at combat. He's, like I mentioned, doesn't cost a lot. Kind of poor defense, but he has 5 and 10. And then opportunist to make that 9 and 20. So you can get like maybe a decent shot off, a little bit of self-defense. But I kind of don't like that, because I'd prefer abilities. Personally, I'd prefer abilities where, I don't really want him to be fighting, and if he can defend himself, I don't really care. I'd rather have abilities like, reserves or reinforcements, especially reserves, where I don't expect it to work a lot, but this guy's going to be sitting in the back. He's going to be, just kind of doing things for me in the background during the game, but his commander effect does kind of make that not work. So his commander effect's the version where if his character, he has to see an enemy at the start of the phase, then he can increase or decrease the number of characters you activate in that phase, not round, by 1. So I both really like this and I really don't like it. So it's like I really hate the fact that you have to see an enemy, but then again, it is kind of strong. So he has to see the enemies, so it's good that he has opportunists so that he can do a little bit more self-defense, because he'll be in danger. But it's cool because it's not like for the whole round you're limited to 1 or 3 or whatever 2, but you could bump it up. So it's like if you're in a situation where, you can see the enemy and you're like, oh, I only want to use 1 guy because I want to plan something out a certain way. Well, you can do that. And in the next phase, if he's not dead for some reason, then you can say, oh, like I have 3 guys that would be really great to like overwhelm them with in this phase. You can do it. So I think if you plan right, this can be a really, really, really good power, a really good commander effect, a good version of the activation control. I prefer not having to have these types of guys, like having to see the enemy, because that to me is a little, like if the enemy has accurate shot or can get to him easy, then it could be a problem. But he's okay. He's solid. I think he's good. I think this can be an amazing commander effect, but it's not my cup of tea. Survivability, that stuff, not so awesome. But I do like, it's okay that he can kind of do some combat a little bit. And Blue Milk kind of agrees. Like, Blue Milk says, oh, he's a 7. So, like, he's good. He's a good character. And I kind of feel the same way. So, he's all right. He's surprisingly, he's $24. He's surprisingly more, like, it's funny, like, Sandhill, in my opinion, is better. And he's dirt cheap, but he's older. And then Captain Martuk, he's a newer character. They tend to be more expensive. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think I'd roll with this guy very often. Maybe. If I thought long and hard about it, you could probably find some cool squads for him, but it's not my cup of tea. So, solid. I give him a 3.5, so I think he's above average for a Separatist leader overall, but not as crazy as some of the other ones. And so I think we're up to the last one now. Yeah, okay. So this guy, General Worm Loathsome, is insane. And that's people in the community have known that for a long time. But if you're new to Star Wars miniatures at all and you're just getting into it, this character is awesome, and we'll jump into why that is. Excuse me. It's taken forever. I got sick back over the holidays, and sore throat, congestion, all that stuff, and my throat's taken forever to get better, and it is slowly getting better, but like, geez, it's crazy. It's taking forever. So he only costs 20, so he's really cheap. He's got awesome hit points, solid stats. He's got not really much offensive stats, but like 11 attacks, kind of cool. Solid defense, like 70 hit points on a shooter at 20 is actually really, really good. Like, it's really, really good. And then his commander effect is crazy. So droids are subject to this effect. But so followers within 6 squares, they gain twin. So I think, this is just kind of like an insane Pandora's box of possibilities. It's very common. People will pair this up with some version of Darth Maul to give Darth Maul like 1,000,000 attacks, which is so much fun. And you can use mouse droids to help that out, keep him out of way, have the mouse droids, be closer to the characters you want to affect. But like, to me, it's one of the best commander effects. Its implications are out of control, out of this world. So I'll get back to it in a second. I gave him a 4.7. That's one of the best scores I've given anybody. I think he's a phenomenal character. His hit points are amazing. Survivability is it's solid. He doesn't have powers, but like the hit points and defense is pretty sweet. He doesn't have any abilities to speak of, so I just left it off. I didn't want to penalize him because while it is true, like, he doesn't have special abilities, that's kind of not exactly what he's like. It's okay in his instance. He's very versatile. His commander effect is insane. It's a GOAT commander effect, in my opinion. He's the best separatist leader. I'm not including General Grievous, obviously. I already did videos about him. You should check him out. But yeah, the community agrees he's over 9. Anyone 9 and over in Star Wars miniatures on Blue Milk, basically the community thinks that they're absolutely phenomenal characters, and I would agree. He's also, which is crazy, I swear, like, not that long ago, he was not this expensive, but when I look through eBay and when I look through Mercari, things like that, all the listings I see are like $80, which blows my mind. I swear, like a year ago, he was like half that, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I swear he wasn't this expensive. But yeah, the prices I've seen are around $80 approximately. So he's the most expensive. He's also the most worth it. But going back to his commander effect, it's like, just think about it. Like, you can mix him with Darth Maul. You can mix him with, if you wanted, with Count Dooku's, I guess. Just people that aren't commanders. And I think the really fun part is you can, General Grievous Droid Army Commander does this better, but it only affects droids. Like, Droid Army Commander does the twin attack, the defense, and all that crap. It makes droids insane, so you could argue that this is worse, but he's a lot cheaper than General Grievous Droid Army Commander, and it does affect droids, which is good. So it's like kind of an alternative if you want to go that way, to like, you don't want to spend like 60 points on just one character. You want someone who's 20. You can throw the battle droid officer in there, like you normally would, and so you get a good effect, but you have a lot more room to build. But the fact that it's non-droids as well, like I already said, Darth Maul is a fantastic pairing. But like, this applies to like any fringe character. So like, think of an amazing fringe character that could be awesome with this ability. There's so many. I'm not even gonna go into it. There's so many. I had like Jango Fett Bounty Hunter. Like, holy crap! Jango Fett Bounty Hunter with this is crazy. Like, so there's so many characters. Like IG-88 could be fun. It could be fun like with Forlom. I'd really like to see Forlom Bounty Hunter, which is paralysis people to death. That'd be sweet. So I think the sky's the limit with who you compare him with, what you can do, because there's just not very many characters in the game where it's like, okay, yeah, just give everyone twin attack. Usually when characters give twin attack as a commander effect, it's really limited. It's like, okay, these specific types of people for this much, and even though it is 6 squares, like, you can get around that pretty easily. But like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like, so I think there's a reason he's a 9.0, and I think he's incredible. So yeah, for all of you who have him or want to get him, just look at every fringe character in the book and also some separatist characters. And you can do some crazy things with this commander effect and have a lot of fun. So highly recommend, highly recommend. So anyways, let's close it up real quick. So Sandhill, solid, lots of green, not meant for any combat, but really nice support character. I like his activation managing more than Martook's. Captain Martook is fine. I don't like his special abilities. I'm not really a big fan. Like, he has Opportunist, big deal. I don't really care about him having Opportunist. It's fine. But his commander effect's good. Like, you can do some cool things with it if you plan around it. But not my cup of tea. Prefer Sandhill. And then both Wat Tambors, their droid support, and in this case, reinforcements, pretty solid. The original Wat Tambor, just average. He's okay. But Techno Union Foreman builds upon that, and I think he creates a character that's awesome. So as you can see, it's a little lighter green from the Blue Milk score, whereas the score I give it is a little darker across the board. I think he's underrated. I think he's way underrated in my opinion, but that's just me. And then, Worm Loathsome, Nuke Gunray, don't need to talk about him. I'm not a big fan of it. Special ability's nice, but if you can make that work, go right ahead. But General Worm Loathsome, he's amazing. So much fun. I actually pulled him a long time ago, and it was pretty sweet. So anyway, if there was a little break in the video just a second ago, it's because I had to pause it for something. But I think the Separatist Commanders, a lot of fun, a lot of interesting things going on with them. Reinforcements, droid support, activation control, so a lot of fun. So anyways, if you're a fan of Separatists, definitely check some of these guys out, and they're pretty cool. So anyways, please like, please subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments and what you think about these characters. Because some of these guys are really just cornerstones to the whole Separatists in general, and you can say that about a lot of people, because the Separatists seem to have a few characters that have to be in every single squad, but they're cool. Anyways, until next time, I will talk to you later.